Hello, everybody. It's me back with another demonstration. I named this demonstration Distractions, and due to it being a really, really bad storm, my actual um, computer froze, so I had to end from my phone. So, my demonstration today is based off the things that are going on currently, and I named it What's a Distraction? We have Nolan Wells. We have Daniel Erving. There was Javea Harris, and also Lindsey Graham. And I thought about the way the stories are presented, where we have basically the world following Nolan Wells' case and Nevaeh, uh, Nevaeh Harris' case. And then there was Daniel Irvin, who met his demise by drowning back in April. And I'd never heard of that. And I thought, wow. But yet we have a whole senator that's been decades in office, and his story was just buried. I just happened to run across it, and I was like, what? But there's nobody talking about it. So, what's a distraction? What are we being distracted from? What's really happening? Are we so indulged in these other tragedies that we are distracted by what's really happening? Are we using race as a distraction? Or the fact that Javea Harris's parents didn't care enough about her to get her medical attention. Instead, they took matters in their own hands, in which a whole community came together for her. And it was kind of odd to me because Senator Graham represented South Carolina. And it's almost like his demise just went unnoticed. So, what is the real distraction here? How could Daniel Irvin's story go untold? He was a high school swimmer that drowned, allegedly. And the two people that were with him kind of followed the same notion of, okay, we're going to take your clothes, we're going to take all your things. Well, I guess the best thing about his story is the people that were with him were arrested. But in Nolan Wells' case, they took his car keys, they took his phone, they lied about it, but yet they're still out with no repercussions. But how could the demise of a U.S. senator with decades of experience, mysterious illness, and demise go untalked about? So, what is the real distraction here? It's almost like if anxiety was a thing, which it is. I have anxiety of just going out and exploring because I feel like I'm being distracted by so many other things. And it kind of brings your thought process to where do you put your attention? Where do you put your time, your thoughts? Like how do you sort through all of those things? What's most important? What's the least importance? What is the distraction? Is there something bigger that we're missing? Is our focus in the wrong place? Because it's just hard for me to believe that based off the country's history, that a whole senator who's been in office for decades can mysteriously fall ill and pass away, but nobody noticed. They tell a short story about this and a short story about that, but I can access social media all day. It doesn't matter what platform. And we're speaking, everyone's speaking about Nolan Wells. I'm not saying that we shouldn't because it's important, but I still think about what is the distraction? Are we focusing so much here that we're not focusing on the bigger picture? Like, what is the distraction? Do we wait for time to tell? Or do we also have to put energy there to see why are all of these series of events, tragic events happening all around us? But for me, I feel distracted. Have we gotten to the point in this country where people care more about people than they do about the people that's running the country? I don't know, but I know I feel distracted. Is anxiety a real thing? Yes, I feel anxiety because I'm distracted and at times not knowing where to focus because there are so many things that are going on. And we have a whole senator that passed away with little to no coverage. Are we being led to focus more on the tragedies that are happening in and out of our neighborhoods as opposed to what is going on in the entire country that we're distracted from? What is a distraction? How do we determine what's real and what's not. How do we focus our attention on the bigger picture? Sometimes the country feels divided. Sometimes it feels more united than divided. But where do we meet? Are we making plans? David, still to this day, I look at the memorial for Javea Harris and it just grows and grows and grows. But what's a distraction? I listen to people try to make reason and have conversations about Nolan Wells barely being able to meet in the middle because everything around it is such a distraction. The distraction was created, but by whom? His demise was unfortunate as he was young and had his whole life in front of him. But what was the distraction? So when I have a look at the overall picture of everything that I'm experiencing and everything that I'm seeing, I'm thinking like, wow, it's got to be something bigger. It's got to be something bigger that we're being distracted from because our focus is, again, what's going on in and out of our neighborhood. Do we place more thought on this or that, or on this person or that person? Like, how do we be able to channel our emotions and feelings to be equal amongst everybody? Because I still say there was a whole senator that got so little coverage that it bothers me. Because everything else that's going on is a distraction. How do we begin to channel what we're feeling and to the things that are actually happening? Do we overlook the distractions, or do we channel it all at one time? When I think about Daniel Erving out in Texas and the things that they said about him, he was a good kid, very friendly, but he was a high school swimmer. And again, his friends left him for 4 days. But I think the hardest part about it is that I just heard about this story just a couple of days ago. But this is something that happened back in April. Did he receive an outpouring support? from the community, from other people who cared, who thought about him, who wanted to know what happened to him. I feel like there's an uneven balance of where energy goes. So, what's the distraction? What are we being distracted from? Will it be just one of those moments and then we think about it later? Or do we need to channel all our energy and give attention to everything? Again, what's the distraction? It's hard to tell who's who, what's what. Because what's the distraction? What is actually happening? What should we really, really be concerned about? How do our distractions become distractions? As a community of just people, all who have a care about something, we can't overlook what may be obvious to us, and that we're being distracted from something bigger. How do we catch that wave? How do we catch up? Each one of these cases that I'm speaking about all have a bigger distraction. Nolan Wells, and I hear a lot about race, but race is not the distraction. The distraction is bigger than that. Daniel Erving, the distraction was bigger than his friends that was with him taking his clothes and leaving him naked in the water. But the funny part about it is they made an arrest there. When it comes to Javea Harris, it took them, what, 5 or 6 days, and her case was, there it was. But what could drive the parents to act in the manner that they did? What was the bigger distraction? Then we have a whole senator who traveled to another country, came home, mysteriously fell ill, and died. And nobody talked about it. To me, that's a distraction. But what is a distraction? How does one thing get our attention that we totally forget about what's really happening? It's almost like covering Naziah Harris' case. It's like It was just a total big distraction of what really happened. But distraction was caused by others. What are we missing in the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of July? What are we missing? What are we being distracted from? Is it the hot, hot, hot temperatures? The unusual thunderstorms and power surges that are so intense that you feel like there's something else entering the atmosphere? What is the distraction? What don't we know? What don't we know? How can we not acknowledge the fact that a whole senator passed away unexpectedly? How can we not acknowledge the actions of Nolan Wells' friends? How can law enforcement not acknowledge the actions of Nolan Wells' friends? But dang, Erving's friends have already been arrested for tampering with evidence. What is the distraction? What are we missing here? Are we walking around with blinders and just focusing on one big thing? Or do we need to take a step back and try to look at the bigger picture of the things, the tragedies, the things that are happening unexplained? What is the bigger picture? Is it the food that we're eating? Is the food that we're intaking causing the chaos and unexplained tragedies that has everyone talking for days and for hours? So what's the distraction? It's really hard to have a clear conversation because there are so many things going on that are distracting. So I just wanted to come on and share my thoughts. I didn't mean to be here for a long time, just a short time, because these are the things that are really on my mind. Distractions. and tragedies to me which are unexplained because we're not looking at the bigger picture. We're looking at the most convenient. It's like baking a cake. As long as you have flour, you forget that you might need some vanilla flavoring or something extra to put in the mix because we just go with the obvious. You look in your pantry and you see the flour. So, salute, Smurfit. Thank you for pulling out. Well, I agree about the revelations, but we're missing the point. It's the distraction. How do we get again, I didn't come here for a long time. I just wanted to share my thoughts on how I was feeling because I just feel like we're being distracted. And we all have to look past a lot of things that are obvious and look at what may not be so obvious. But I just wanted to share my thoughts um, on how I feel and how I'm viewing all of the things that are happening just around us. With really no answers right now. But again, I thank you for pulling up on me, Smurfett. I appreciate that. Again, I didn't come here for a long time, just a short time to share my thoughts and my observations. Just wanted to have a conversation. Join me tonight. I'll pull up a little later with a um, another demonstration regarding Messiah Harris and still try to figure out where she is. Salute everybody.